Good evening, gamers. So today I wanted to go over Gpose, what all the different buttons do, and show you how to best use those tools, as well as going through the process of taking a picture myself and just showing you what that looks like, and then at the end maybe some less than legal recommendations. So, pretty easy to start. Just type /Gpose. Now we're in the menu. So, the first thing we're going to go for is this top row buttons here. So this face camera, pretty easy, just faces the camera. The shortcut for it is the spacebar. I'm sorry, controller players, I've never tried it, so I don't actually know the buttons, but you can see they're kind of listed there. So this one's pretty easy, makes it a lot nicer than just blankly staring off into space. You can kind of like, look over your shoulders, stuff like that. Second button, disable, enable camera, lighting, pretty easy. I personally never use this. I just kind of opt to use these three, but it's a nice little shortcut. And we'll go over the lighting tab in just a little bit. So disable, enable all motion and target motion. So since I'm in a party of 1 right now, these buttons will do the exact same thing, but the difference is when you are in a party, this will apply to, this one here will apply to everybody that's in the party. This will just make everybody freeze. As you can see, I'm breathing right now, or if I were to have an emo going on, you can pause that. And this would apply to everybody, or you can just target one person. You can cycle through them with tab. It'll freeze the target. Pretty simple. Now stop time and weather. Let's say you've been in Gpose for a while. Weather kind of changes, and if you want it to update live, you want to deselect it, it starts frozen, or you can freeze it if it's a really nice sunset or whatever. Now battle effects on and off. This one I will, let me demonstrate that real quick. So let's say I wanted to take a picture of my character doing Rampart. So I do Rampart, I go back into Gpose, and notice it has all these effects, but I don't want to see that. I just want to see him, raising the axe. Disable battle effects, and now that's not happening. And then I can disable the target motion, and there you go. So that if I wanted a picture like this, that's how you do it. So we'll keep them off because usually the effects do get in the way, but obviously there's some really pretty attacks, so maybe not always. And this is just the control guide. I wouldn't recommend keeping it on unless you really need it. It's probably helpful for controller just to remember all the buttons. But and these, we'll go over what limb darkening is later, as well as camera angle. It's pretty, pretty obvious what that does. So, a little pro tip: if you sit and then you get back up, that will reset your previous action. So if you do an emote and then go into Gpose, your character will just kind of spam that emote repeatedly. Same with like abilities, like I just showed you with Rampart. The way you kind of get rid of that is by sitting, because if you sit, you're going to take a screenshot of you sitting, and if not, then it clears it when you stand back up. So now onto this one, we'll go to the camera settings. These are just kind of general. So camera position, you can get more of like a fisheye effect almost, zooming way out, or you could zoom way in. This kind of gives it a nice like depth of field thing. Now, of course, there's also this. I'm not going to rotate too much because motion sickness, but you get the idea. And there are little, interval jumps you can do here. Brightness adjustment, pretty self-explanatory. I just keep it default because I'm generally using these lightings and whatnot, but this is very helpful. Sometimes there's a lot of, I've run into a lot of times where we'll take a picture, it's very nice, but it's just too dark and you can't really see details, but I don't want to put a spotlight on the character or whatever, so it's pretty helpful. Color filter. Some of these can get a little obnoxious, but you can just play with them however you want, like whatever fits the theme you're going for. Bright, makes it more vibrant. And there's a handful on this list here. We won't go through all of them, but you get the idea. Let's go back to normal. Screen effects. These ones are a little bit different. All this kind of stuff. Just gives them almost like filter properties. Some of them can be nice. but again, we won't go through all. Depth of field is a pretty nice one. It's a very simple effect, but as you can see, the background fades in and out when I toggle it. And you can also do manual focus. So this determines the strength of it. If I want to not really have much, or if I want the back to be very blurry, you can go to either side. Let's make it very blurry, but then we'll do manual focus. So now you can adjust this bar to choose what exactly you want in focus. So I have it here, my character's in focus. When I don't, now the background is in focus. You can think of it like you're dragging the little an invisible veil of blurriness to decide exactly where you want things to be blurry or not. But if you're not sure, I wouldn't mess with it. You can just disable it and it's fine. Usually though, depth of field does look very pretty, unless you're looking at a background that you just want to capture the whole thing. So limb darkening, I'm a bit of a sucker for this one myself. I almost always have limb darkening 1. As you can see, that makes the edges of the picture grow darker in kind of a circle until you get to this point. So if you were looking for something a little bit more dramatic, you could do like 1 or 2. If you're trying to get like something, you know, very, very specific, maybe you're trying to look through a telescope, something like that. And of course, let's adjust the colors and the shape of it. So this makes it more like an oval. Red, you know, pretty self-explanatory here. You can kind of be whatever you want. But generally, limb darkening does, as you can see, just with 1, it kind of makes the entire picture darker. So not always amazing looking, depending on what you're going for. But again, like I said, I use it all the time. So now that this tab's done, we'll go to this one. This is a pretty small tab. We have these effects. So this just affects your character. And again, if I wanted to, let's say I wanted his, you know, I wanted to catch him while his head was kind of up. Wait for it and disable motion, and there you go. This pauses the effect, this starts it, or resets it to neutral. And obviously these, you know, these have different effects, so play with those all you'd like. This one's kind of interesting. This just makes everything look as if you were in the rain. Then frames. Some of these are really cute. I like the picture frame ones like these. I think this one's adorable. But there's a lot more. There's quite a lot more, as you can see. So mess with these all you'd like. Sticker mode. This one is just cute. You can put little stickers wherever you want, resize them. There's text you can put on there. You can even make, it's just a meme maker, honestly. But personally, I don't really use it. You can right click, you know. There's lots of options here, but these are all pretty simple. As you can see, these are just, you know, little text you can add, all that. So lighting. This is where it gets a little bit, this is where a lot of what makes good pictures look good is almost always the lighting. Like, yeah, poses are important, but you could make a character looking blankly ahead look a lot better with good lighting. So let's give it a go here. So we start. These are just the default settings. We'll do, just activate it here. It's kind of bright. It feels like there's a spotlight on them. So let's make it a little softer. Type 3 is the biggest and brightest. Type 2 is kind of, you know, in between. And then type 1, as you can see, is pretty light. But notice how it's very bright here. And then when I pull it back, you can't really see it when it's type 1. Because whenever you activate the lighting, that spot that your camera is in is where the lighting originates. So let's say I wanted to make it, I don't know, I just wanted everything in the area to be very, very red. So I'd make it type 3, I would do this. And so now there's a big red light over him. And you can even do ones that are very far away. You could light up very specific stuff. And by the way, zoom in and out Oh, hey, cool. Get some money. Zooming in and out with the scroll wheel has little, as you can see, little ticks. But we could do another one. Make this one bright blue. And so now you can see kind of where the blue light originates from. You can turn it on and off. Generally, sometimes if your character's like looking down, a lot of the times like any kind of overhead lighting is going to make their face really dark. So you could do something like this, make it a bit darker, get it a little bit closer to them. And it's kind of the difference between, you know, see how he's still dark, but it's a little bit more visible. That's just a general idea. Obviously, this doesn't look good, but so you can always just reset all these, reset the lighting. And then character lighting is just kind of a general ambient lighting on your character. Only affects the character. It's not like a spotlight or anything. It's only that. So this tab, this one's really nice. So get him looking up. And now this button, I love. Track camera. So let's do this. So seeing how, you know, his eyes are following the camera. This applies to everybody in your party as well. Or everybody who is not frozen. So if I were to freeze him, he still wouldn't, like, he wouldn't track the camera anymore. So that's kind of nice. Like sometimes you may want to freeze everybody and then highlight one person, unfreeze them, and, you know, move their eyes however you want. And then when they're frozen, that freezes their eyes in place. So let's make him look like up here, freeze him. I use the shortcut. And now see his eyes are looking straight up, or mostly straight up. That one's a really, really helpful button. I really love it. This is the loop motion. You can enable or disable this if you don't want your character, like I showed earlier with Rampart, if you don't want him to spam it, then you can just turn this off. But I generally have it on and I kind of work with it. That way I can have a lot of chances to like try and time an emote or attack to the exact part of the animation I want and freeze them there. So let's turn that off. Walk forward is the first option here. You can hit play or just reset. These are pretty obvious what they do. Just makes your character do whatever action you selected here. Pretty nice for like action shots. Let's do like sprint forward and see. Yeah, now it's like a action shot. See? Pretty nice. Lip movements, also pretty self-explanatory. Just talking. Very aggressive talking. Now, emotes is a big deal. So this right here, select action, we'll actually go over emotes in one sec. Select action may not be active by default, but once you check it, I believe it doesn't go away until you uncheck it. So what this does is this allows you to do actions out of Gpose, like I showed with Rampart. It allows you to do Rampart or whatever you want, and then when you go into Gpose, it will activate it. If this isn't checked, this will not work. So let me show you. I have it unselected. I go out, and then I do this attack. Gpose again. And now he's not doing it. And then let's try it one more time now that it is selected. Gpose. And he's doing it again. Turn off loop. And he's not. Pretty nice. Let's sit. Oh, I probably want to stand up. And this one, self-explanatory, just selects the NPC the character is currently facing. Now, emotes is a big one. Pretty simple, but you can use them in conjunction with everything else. So let's say I want him to dance. Got the bee's knees, classic, but now you can freeze it. And you can also use the tracking camera. You can use, of course, lighting. You can do, this is a really nice one. You can do a combination of emotes. So we have him dancing, but now let's do expressions. So you can only combine one emote and then specifically in the order of emote and then expression, because sometimes the other will override it. You'll want to do whatever you want. So let's say we want him to have a very afraid look while he dances. Or honestly, this almost looks like he's turning around all surprised, which really opens the emotes up to being more than, you know, whatever they are, right? Like this is a dance, but it does kind of look like he's turned around all surprised at something. So you can really use these and get very creative with them. Pretty nice. So now we have disable emote overriding, just reset them. Now, this last tab is a pretty big deal. I don't like this one a lot. It's very simple, but you can do some presets or just go through and unselect everything yourself. Let's say I wanted to take a nice picture, but there's this ugly enemy in the back. Well, I can go here, self only. Now there are no enemies or NPCs anywhere, just myself. Or if I just wanted to see a really nice background, I could uncheck everything. And now it's just this. Now the camera perspective, you can adjust it, you know, move up and down, left, right, and zoom in and out, but the perspective will be sort of anchored around where the target is, which if you're alone is just you. So you may want to position yourself, like you can't just fly everywhere with the camera like this. But NPCs only, well, there's none around. Let's do enemies only. Well, there you go. Now we're back to show. Oh, it's very nice. So those are the basics of Gpose. This is just for saving and, you know, just saving this general settings such as lighting and whatnot. Pretty nice, actually. I personally don't do it because I do like to manually adjust lighting for every single shot I do, but this is a very nice feature. Let's just erase or load. Sorry. Now, let's go over some recommendations. Let me show you the process of how I would go ahead and take a picture myself. So first off, if it's just me, I'm not going to do any emotes beforehand. And there's another thing, for this picture, I'm not really wanting to have my weapon in it, so you can always just take that off. Gpose. And now I press my shortcut, which is 2 for me, to freeze him right here. Now we have a bit of a dramatic angle, just a little bit. And well, that morble's here, so let's do self only. And now we want some better lighting, so let's light him up just a little bit. And since it's dark, let's try and get a little bit of moonlight going. So we'll make it like, if they're all even, it kind of ends up being white, but we may want like a bit of a blue. It kind of ends up looking like that. And now this looks like there's a little bit of moonlight, but we can probably bring it closer for more dramatic lighting. Yeah, that's probably gonna be good. Yeah, there we go. Look at that. Now, let's see how the character is. Yeah, he's a little bit dark if we do none, so let's bring it up here. Let's do a... I actually kind of want to see if we can add more lighting. Let's make something very weak, but very close. Yeah, I like that. It really looks like it's shining on him, although you can't see the moon. Oh well. We assume it's there, right? So we have the we have what we want him to do for the emote. This is actually kind of a hard one to capture because it's just his standing, just the start of the standing idle animation, and does not repeat. So this is one of the harder ones to capture. So let's make him, you know, we'll do content. We'll make him a little happy. So I just unfroze him. I did content, and then I froze him again. So now he's a little happy about it. And let's do limb darkening, just 1. Let's see how 2 looks. Yeah, no, it's too dark. Depth of field, for sure. And now, you know what, let's make this a vertical picture. We'll do 90 degrees. Alrighty. Color filters, let's see what bright looks like. Well, it's very bright. It's a little bit too bright. Oh no. I'm not really feeling any of these filters. We'll just stick with the normal for now. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else. We don't need to use this because this emo makes his eyes closed. So now let's adjust the camera angle a little bit. Kind of want to get his expression, but not focus on it. All right, and there you go. So this was just a very simple one. You can obviously get more dynamic with different attacks, locations, stuff like that. You can go into dungeons in Explorer mode, so you have a lot of really cool backgrounds. Of course, there's plenty of open world places you can go to. Now, here's the part where I recommend illegal things. So, oh, sorry, did I say recommend? No, I did not mean recommend. I mean, do not ever do this. Do not ever download Gshade. I will never link that stuff in the description. That just won't happen. So, when you don't have that downloaded, you don't open this menu, and these are some of the presets I totally do not have saved and lightly edited. So let's go with a bit of a dramatic one. See, notice how this very drastically changes the, just the general lighting. So we could do something like this. I'm dropping the idea. We can get a more up-close picture like that. Makes the lighting look very... This specific one's a little bit harsh, but let's see if we can go with something a little softer. Here we go. Look at that. So this is a much nicer picture now that we have the shaders on and stuff. I do wish there was a totally legal way to add these types of things, because it just really improves the game a lot. But I think they don't do it because performance reasons for console, because it does make it harder to render the game with all this lighting and stuff. So if your computer's not super beefy, this may not be an amazing option, or if you're on console, it's just not an option, unfortunately. Now, another thing that I really do totally not recommend. Actually, we'll just keep the one we have on. I'm not going to go over all the different settings, but you can mess with these. They're very in-depth, and you can just look at all these settings you can adjust. There's just so much. But let's leave Gpose real quick and show you one of my other things that I don't recommend you do. Weatherman. This one's easy to figure out if you understand how to do any of the illegal things. This one is very nice for Gpose. These are the two things I recommend: is this Weatherman and the shaders. So this allows you to control the time. This is obviously only on your end. This would not show up for everybody in the area, only you. So let's say I wanted a nice picture of a sunset. Well, there you go. But I want it to be foggy. Ooh, wait, it's kind of nice, but no, we'll do wind. The wind looks really nice. Now, a lot of people, when they first see this, they're like, oh, that's so cool. When they go into Gpose, and what? It's not there. What happened? Well, you just have to stop time weather. There you go. And now, with the shaders combined with everything, we don't have any lighting. You can see it makes a very much more, I keep using the word dramatic, but that's kind of what it is. Very dramatic picture. So yeah, those are just some of the Gpose basics. Let me know if you have any comments or questions about it. And yeah, have a good time.